Ash's Dragonite is a legend, a Pokemon people wanted this kid to have for over 20 years, and he finally got it on his ultimate team. But this journey wasn't all good. There was actually some decent trials this Pokemon had throughout its entire career, to the point where it is fighting literal Pokemon champions. So let's take a look at the 10th episode of Pokemon Journeys, where Ash first met this Pokemon. The episode starts off with Ash and Go surfing across the sea on a Dugong, and now everything may look fine, but this Dugong is a complete menace. Since it ends up seeing this other Dugong it's attracted to and ends up following it throughout the entire sea, getting lost and leaving Ash and Go stranded. Obviously this relationship didn't work out and Dugong is acting confused about why they're all out here, and I mean, okay man. This situation ends up getting so bad that random lightning starts attacking Ash and Go and they end up getting knocked out, and if it wasn't for a group of Dragonites coming over and saving their lives, they would have been dead. Ash and the rest of the gang wake up on a beach on Dragonite Island, surrounded by a few Dragonites and a Dragonair, so they decide to show Ash and Go around the island, and it's pretty nice. Just a bunch of Dragonites are sleeping and chilling here, while the rest of the Dragonairs and Dratinis are training to become Dragonites. They end up bumping into a group of Dragonairs, and these guys are vibing. They're just chilling, shaking their orbs around, and they end up starting to dance, which causes them to fly because of the move Dragon Dance. Now, Ash and Go are pretty amazed at this, but Ash notices that the Dragonair that was showing them around is pretty sad about this. Ash really doesn't know why, but before he has any time to process this, Go's Scorbunny starts tripping, because Scorbunny's favorite artist must be Kanye West, because what the hell is he wearing? Scorbunny lets them know that it's actually Dratini's silk that he's wearing and brings them over to a cave where a bunch of Dragonairs and Dratinis are shedding. Ash ends up realizing that he really likes this species of Pokemon, and while he finishes touring the islands, he sees a bunch of Dragonites getting ready to fly away out into the storm. He's pretty impressed by this, but then the Dragonair that was touring them around was struggling to fly. The reason why it was sad earlier is because it doesn't know the move Dragon Dance like the rest of the people on the island, and it's one of the only Dragonairs that can't fly with the rest of its companions, and it feels left out. Ash isn't gonna let this Pokemon suffer in silence, so he offers to help her to learn the move Dragon Dance so this Dragonair will be able to fly with the rest of the Pokemon. They spend the entire day doing a bunch of strange exercises to try to help Dragonair fly, and Pikachu ends up creating an electro web for this Pokemon to bounce off of. Now, in all honesty, I thought this wasn't gonna work, but it clearly did, since Dragonair was able to fly right after this, and it was so happy with Ash and Pikachu training it. While this was all going on, Team Rocket was in the distance doing their usual shenanigans, capturing a Dragonite, and Ash, Dragonair, and Go ended up confronting them, and this situation got so bad where Ash and Pikachu were falling out from the sky about to land in the ocean, and Dragonair used all of its strength to try to catch Ash and Pikachu, and in the process it ended up evolving into a Dragonite, and they defeated Team Rocket. After this, Ash was really proud this Dragonair is now a Dragonite, and it was pretty powerful, and Dragonite asked Ash if she could join his team, and Ash agreed, and ever since then, this Pokemon was a pretty goated member of Ash's Journey squad. Like, I'm not kidding, because a few episodes later, Ash was fighting Korrina, the fighting type gym leader of the Kalos region in this tournament, and his Gengar was defeated, so all he had left was his Dragonite. This Pokemon was up against a Mienshao, and I honestly thought this battle would be even, but Dragonite was completely demolishing Mienshao. This Pokemon even got so bored in this battle, it started using Dragon Dance emoting on this Pokemon and blocking all of the attacks. Then when Mienshao tried to get a sneak attack on Dragonite, it ended up using Dragon Claw and knocking this Pokemon onto the curb, defeating it. The battle wasn't over yet because Korrina had one more Pokemon, her Lucario, who happens to have Mega Evolution, which Korrina definitely used in this battle. Lucario tries to charge up an Aura Spear while Dragonite tries to charge up a Hyper Beam, and the animation starts to get a lot better here, but Dragonite wasn't able to get his attack off in time and he got sent flying. Now, you would think this Lucario would give Dragonite some time to get up to continue the battle, but if you know anything about Korrina's Lucario, it is the reincarnation of King Von, because all it wants is violence, and it starts punching Dragonite's falling body with a close combat again, inflicting more damage on it. Now, I honestly thought the battle was done, but Dragonite is a real hero because he stood back up and he wanted to inflict his revenge. Both of the two Pokemon started to power up and were going in for their finishing attacks, Dragon Claw and Power Up Punch. Both Pokemon made direct contact and both of them were standing up, but Lucario ended up falling down first. Dragonite was the winner. This Pokemon won a 2v1, and Ash was so proud of Dragonite, showing how powerful this pseudo-legendary actually is. These two got so much motion that in a later episode, they received a letter from the Unova region challenging them to a battle, and when Ash pulled up, it was Iris. Now, this Iris isn't weak anymore. She's actually the champion of the Unova region and has a fully evolved team and wants to see how strong Ash's Dragon-type Pokemon are. When she sees Ash's Dragonite, she's actually pretty happy and gives the whole spiel about how this Pokemon needs to believe in itself to get stronger, and she sends out her Dragonite to start the battle. Now, the thing is about these two Dragonites is that they are not the same. Ash's Dragonite is like an angel, while Iris's Dragonite is like a devil, since this thing is always mad. Ash's Dragonite starts charging up a Hyper Beam, but Iris's Dragonite does not care, going in for a Dragon Rush. The two of them end up clashing with an Electric Punch and a Dragon Claw, and they're pretty evenly matched. Iris's Pokemon ends up using Dragon Rush again, and this was pretty critical to Ash's Dragonite, where it's literally laying on the ground while Iris's Dragonite is standing over it like a villain. Ash made the smart decision to return his Dragonite for now and sent out his Dracovish to try to defeat this Dragonite, and it actually worked. Iris then sent out her Haxorus, which used to be her Axew, and this Haxorus ends up defeating Dracovish, and now it's down to Dragonite versus Haxorus. Haxorus ends up using Outrage, getting really mad and attacking Ash's Dragonites, and I don't know what is up with Iris's Pokemon always being angry. Outrage is a move that's supposed to confuse the Pokemon after it uses it, but Haxorus just slams its head into the ground so it no longer gets confused. The battle isn't looking that good, so Ash ends up giving his Dragonite a prep talk, telling her that she's got this, and then Iris ends up joining in with some telepathic abilities, also telling the Dragonite that she's got this, and I don't know whose side Iris is on, trying to encourage Ash's Dragonite to win, but it definitely ends up working. Since this battle got so intense, the arena started breaking down, and Dragonite ended up using the move Draco Meteor, sending a bunch of meteors down on Haxorus and winning the battle. Ash's Dragonite finally beats a champion level Pokemon, and this is really showing how Ash has improved over time as a trainer. And speaking of improving, if you want to upgrade your setup with a high quality microphone without breaking the bank, I can only recommend the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. This is a microphone I have been using a ton recently, and it's super easy to set up. All you gotta do is plug it in and you can get to recording your videos, or even just having a really good mic when you're in call with your friends. Elgato even has a free Wavelink software which you can use to adjust a ton of settings on your microphone to make it sound as good as possible. So if you're looking to upgrade your microphone or any Elgato product, click the link in the description and use code ZOLT at checkout to get some money off. It genuinely helps out the channel a ton. Anyways, back to Dragonite, and Ash was not slacking because he used this Pokemon in a bunch of battles which were all off screen, but this Dragonite definitely got stronger. The most notable battle Dragonite had before the Masters 8 tournament was against Paul and his Garchomp, and even though Dragonites fought pretty well, it ultimately lost the battle, but Ash didn't care that much, and we move on to the Masters 8, the final tournament in this season. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Dragonite must have had cold feet because it did not perform that well in this tournament. When it was up against Cynthia in this semifinals match, it held up pretty well against Spiritomb, but ultimately ended up getting defeated. But I mean, it is Cynthia. And when Dragonite was in the finals versus Leon and his Dragapult, Dragonite did take out Dragapult, but then a few moments later it ended up getting defeated and wasn't really the star of that battle either. But in the end, Ash ended up winning this battle and became the winner of the entire tournament, and Dragonite was very happy to be on Ash's ultimate team. Even though this Pokemon wasn't always in the spotlight, I did enjoy when it was on screen, even though it was pretty obvious Ash favored his other Galar Pokemon way more, and if you want to see their stories, click the video on your screen because they're pretty good.